चलो let's start with it by Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Let's start with this by. चलो. First question. Define density. What is density? Density is mass per unit volume. Also, one more thing. At any point in the lecture, किसी को भी कुछ भी ना समझ आए. Like if you don't get even a single dot that I write, you just raise your hand, you ask your question. There is no hesitation. अगर बोलने में मसला है, you can like ask in the chat. No problem in that. ठीक है. ऑल्सो अगर किसी का अभी तक कोई क्वेश्चन है इन द इंट्रोडक्शन यू कैन ऑब्वियसली आस्क. ठीक है. चलो. फिगर्स 1.1 shows a cubical glass block. Perfect. Figure 1.1 shows a cubical glass block. A student measures the masses of block and the sides length x, y and z. The measurements are shown in table 1.1. ठीक है. एक स्टूडेंट है that measures the mass, the length, the breadth and the height of this cube. Perfect. What do we have to do? Determine the density of the glass. Okay, determine the density of the glass. A basic grade 8 question. What is the formula of density? Density is equals to mass over volume. Density is equals to mass over volume. What is your mass? 0.243. Perfect. 0.243. And I would advise you guys to please calculator निकाल के बैठो so that you do the past paper along with me. सिर्फ मुझे ही करने से कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. You also do it along with me. So your mass is 0.243 kg. Perfect. Now if you see the final units of density in your answer are what? Meter minus 3. But all the measurements are given in centimeters. What will you do while calculating the volume? Convert it into meters. 5.41 divided by 100 into 11.09 divided by 100 into 1.62 divided by 100. Can anyone calculate the density here? Can anyone calculate the density here? Yes. Geniuses. कोई calculators लाया है फिजिक्स की क्लास में और all of you have come just like this. Density comes out to be 2500 kg m minus 3. Perfect. Okay. 0.25 नहीं आ रही भाई. 2500 kg m minus 3 आ रही है. Can all of you check भाई? Your answer should come out to be 2500 kg m minus 3. Not 0.25. ये 100 से डिवाइड करना भूल गए I guess. चलो. Let's further move ahead. एक सेकेंड. 2500 आ रही है. वेरी गुड. Now let's calculate the percentage uncertainty in the density. अच्छा, percentage uncertainty निकालनी है in the density. Okay. So basically you have to calculate this percentage uncertainty in density. Now always remember before calculating either the percentage uncertainty या fractional uncertainty, आप density का formula लिख लो. Density का formula is what? Mass over volume. Now break down volume further. Mass over what? Mass over x, y, z. This is your densities formula. Now beta, please remember this. Whenever you have to calculate the percentage uncertainty of any variable such as density, what do? You add up the percentage uncertainties of all the variables that make that variable up. वापस सुन लो. Whenever you calculate the percentage uncertainty of any variable, you add the percentage uncertainties of all the variables that make that variable up. ठीक है. हमने percentage uncertainty of density निकालनी. What will we do? We will calculate first of all the percentage uncertainty of mass. Sir, how to calculate the percentage uncertainty of mass? Very easy. Absolute uncertainty of mass divided by the actual value of mass into 100. इसकी मैं पूरी करके दिखा देता हूँ मास की. अदर आई विल डू डायरेक्टली. एब्सोल्यूट अनसर्टेनिटी ऑफ मास क्या है? 0.01 डिवाइडेड बाय मास की वैल्यू 0.43 into 100. This is your percentage uncertainty of mass, which comes out to be 0.001 divided by 0.243 into 100. What does your answer come out to be? 0.41%. इसी तरह you will calculate the percentage uncertainty of x, of y, and of z and add them up. So for mass, I already know it is 0.41. Perfect. Let's calculate it for x. What is the absolute uncertainty of x? 0.01 divided by the actual value of x, 5.41 into 100, plus what is the absolute uncertainty of y? 0.01 divided by the actual value, 11.09, multiplied by 100, plus the absolute uncertainty of z, 0.01 divided by the actual value, 1.62, multiplied by 100. Can you guys calculate this answer भाई? इस आंसर को कैलकुलेट कर सकता है कोई? Anyone who can calculate this answer भाई? Yes. Calculate करो भाई, आंसर क्या आता है? शाबाश. Everyone should have a calculator, at least a calculator, and at most a working brain with them. A calculator, a well functioning brain is what I require in this classes. 11.09 plus 0.01 into 100 divided by 1.62. Your answer comes out to be 1.3%. क्या सबका आंसर 1.3% आ रहा है या कुछ ज़्यादा आ रहा है भाई? चलो, let's see this. The true value of the density of glass is different from the answer in B1. Okay. The examiner is saying that the true value of the density of glass is different from what you have calculated in B1 due to a systematic error in the measurements. Suggest one possible cause of systematic error. बेटा सिस्टमैटिक एरर का सबसे बड़ा कॉज बता दूं, हमेशा यही यूज होगा सिस्टमैटिक एरर्स में, दैट इज जीरो एरर. जीरो एरर इन एनी ऑफ द इंस्ट्रूमेंट. यहाँ पे मैं कह देता हूँ जीरो एरर इन द वर्नियर कैलिपर. In the vernier caliper. You can also write micrometer as well. There is no restriction. Zero error in the vernier caliper. Perfect. आप यहाँ पे माइक्रोमीटर लिख सकते हो, टॉप पैन बैलेंस लिख सकते हो, एनीथिंग लाइक दैट. ओके. Any questions, any ambiguities in this first question, bhai? Any confusions, beta? Let's see this. Define linear momentum. लीनियर मोमेंटम की डेफिनेशन क्या होती है? लीनियर मोमेंटम, सर वी विल ऑलवेज राइट दिस आंसर इफ द क्वेश्चन अबाउट सिस्टमैटिक एरर कम. यस 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 यस. सिस्टमैटिक एरर की सबसे मेन एग्जांपल इज जीरो एरर. सबसे मेन एग्जांपल इज जीरो एरर. ठीक है. व्हाट इज लीनियर मोमेंटम की डेफिनेशन? प्रोडक्ट ऑफ मास एंड वेलोसिटी. 1 मार्क का सवाल है. प्रोडक्ट ऑफ मास एंड velocity. Simple, serene answer. Let's further move ahead. A car of mass 1800 kg is moving in a straight line. Figure 2.1 shows the variation with time t of the momentum of the car. Momentum versus time का graph given है बेटा. Calculate the maximum speed reached by the car. Very टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन, या बहुत ही मतलब सोच समझ के एग्जामिनर ने क्वेश्चन किया. Maximum speed reached by the car. Perfect. So if you notice, what is the formula of momentum? Momentum is equals to mass into velocity. This mass is a constant value. This mass is a constant value of 1800 kg. So can I write it like this? Momentum is directly proportional to velocity. If your velocity is maximum, your momentum should be maximum. But at maximum momentum, your velocity will be maximum. अच्छा, मैक्सिमम मोमेंटम क्या है भाई यहाँ पे? व्हाट इज द मैक्सिमम मोमेंटम यहाँ पे? दिस वैल्यू which is equals to what? This value is equals to what? 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4. Maximum momentum is equals to what? 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4. Perfect. Let's write it here. Bhai. Maximum momentum is 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4 is equal to the mass, that is 1800. Perfect. Will you get your maximum velocity? Yes. Divide both of them. 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4 divided by 1800. Maximum velocity आ जाएगी भाई. Maximum velocity या maximum speed comes out to be what? Can anyone calculate it? Maximum velocity comes out to be 40. Shabash. Very good, Moise. 40 ms minus 1 is your answer. Now you have to calculate the maximum kinetic energy. Again, maximum kinetic energy will occur at the maximum speed 1 over 2 into the mass, that is 1800, into velocity ka square, that is 40 square. Can anyone calculate this answer by? 1.4 into 10 raised to the power of 6 joules. Simple as that. Let's further move ahead. Show that the acceleration of the car at time t is equals to 4 seconds is this. Perfect. What a beautiful question. Show that the acceleration of the car at time t is equals to 4 seconds is 5 ms minus 2. अच्छा. First of all, तो बेटा 4 seconds पे चले जाओ. Okay, at 4 seconds you are here. Hmm. Any ideas, anyone? क्या करोगे बेटा यहाँ पे? What will you do here? If you notice, this is a momentum versus time graph. If I calculate the gradient of this graph, change in y over change in x, that will be equal to what? Change in momentum over change in time. Change in momentum over change in time is equals to what? Resultant force. Things are starting to make sense. And resultant force का formula क्या है बेटा? Mass into acceleration. If I somehow know the resultant force divided by mass, I will get my acceleration. So first of all, let's calculate the gradient. That will be my resultant force. So let's calculate. Yep, very good, Zarian. Yeah, shabash. आज पढ़ के आयो. Very good. So first of all, let's calculate the gradient. By this is 0, 0. Okay, which other point should I take, by? Which other point should I take here? I already have this point here. This point is x-axis में 8 and y-axis में 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4. Can I calculate the gradient here? Yes. Gradient is equals to what? 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4 minus 0 divided by 8 minus 0. This gradient comes out to be what? 7.2 divided by 8, I guess 0.9 आता है. Yes. Gradient is 0.9 into 10 raised to the power of 4. This is your resultant force. 0.9 into 10 raised to the power of 4. Resultant force can be replaced by MA. MA is equals to 0.9 into 10 raised to the power of 4. Can you divide this resultant force by mass to calculate acceleration? Yes. Divide kar do bhai. 0.9 into 10 raised to the power of 4 divided by 1800. You get your acceleration. What is the value of acceleration? Any geniuses in the chat? Acceleration comes out to be 5 ms minus 2. I guess यही हमने show भी करना था. I guess we had to prove something. Yeah. Acceleration is 5 ms minus 2. Perfect. Any ambiguities भाई यहाँ तक? Any ambiguities? I think everything should be clear. Perfect. चलो. Let's further move ahead. Determine the distance traveled by the car between time t is equals to 0 till time t is equals to 12 seconds. Okay. कौन सी जर्नी का डिस्टेंस बोल रही है भाई? ये वाला. From time t is equals to 0 till 8 seconds, and then from time t is equals to 8 till 12 seconds. Perfect. पूरी जर्नी का आपने डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल निकालना है. ओके. हाउ विल यू डू दैट? एनी आइडियाज बच्चों? एनी आइडियाज? हाउ विल यू डू दैट? एनी आइडियाज? कोई रिमोट आइडियाज किस तरह करोगे? Okay, students. So let's see this as well. Determine the distance traveled by the car between time t is equals to 0 and time t is equals to 12 seconds. So we basically have to determine the distance traveled between 0 till 12 seconds. Okay. How are we going to do this? How are we going to determine the distance between time t is equals to 0 till 12 seconds? Now, if you examine the area under the graph, the area under the graph is equals to what? Area under this graph will be equal to what? Momentum P times T. Okay, the area under the graph will be momentum P times T. Now, if you realize what is momentum, area is represented by A, momentum is represented by mass, velocity, and time. Can you realize that velocity into time is equals to what? The distance traveled. Area divided by mass will give you your distance traveled. Can you calculate the area under this graph? Yes. This is a triangle. 1 upon 2 into the base, that is 12, into the height, that is what? Height is this one. This is 7.2 into 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4. You have to accommodate the units on the axes as well. So can you calculate the area? Yes. Area is equals to what? 6 into 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4. This comes out to be 432000. This is your area. So let's place area here. 432 and 3 zeros divided by mass. What is mass? 1800 divided by 1800. What will your answer for area or distance come out to be? Your answer for distance comes out to be 240 meters. So your distance is basically 240 meters. Simple as that, nothing complicated here. On figure 2.2, sketch the variation with time t of the acceleration of the car in B from time t is equals to 0 till time t is equals to 12 seconds. वापस beautiful सवाल. You have to sketch the graph of acceleration from time t is equals to 0 till time t is equals to 12 seconds. How will you do that? किस तरह acceleration versus time का ग्राफ बनाओगे? Is there any easier way to do it या सारे मुश्किल ही तरीके हैं यहाँ पे? Is there any easier way to do it or all of them are pretty difficult? First of all, आपको एक चीज पता है. First of all, you know one thing. That the acceleration in this yellow region is what? Acceleration in the yellow region calculate कर चुके हो. That is what? 5 ms minus 2. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एग्जाम में बेटा जो चीज़ आपको पता है एटलीस्ट वो तो पहले बनाओ ताकि टेंशन आपकी कम हो जाए. ठीक है. फ्रॉम 0 to 8 seconds your acceleration is 5 ms minus 2. So let's make that from 0 to 8 seconds your acceleration is 5 ms minus 2. बेटा फिर एक ट्रिक सिखाता हूँ. एक ट्रिक छोटी सी ट्रिक है that will come in really handy when you are doing past papers. ठीक है. अच्छा now observe here. Observe here. 1 second. Let's erase this. ठीक है. अच्छा now if you observe here, will you do the entire calculation? बेटा क्या आप ये पूरी entire calculation change in y over change in x resultant force निकालो फिर divided by 1800 करोगे for this blue region? No. अगर आप पूरी इंटायर कैलकुलेशन सोच रहे हो करने का फॉर दिस इंटायर ब्लू रीजन देन तो फिर आपका पेपर में जमाने लगेंगे. देन योर पेपर विल नेवर एवर फिनिश. यू हैव टू अप्लाई कॉमन सेंस हियर. यू हैव टू अप्लाई कॉमन सेंस हियर. कॉमन सेंस क्या है भाई यहाँ पे? चलो लेट मी शो यू वन थिंग. कैन यू सी दैट फ्रॉम 0 to 8 you are covering 4 large boxes on the x-axis. बेटा कैन यू सी फ्रॉम 0 to 8 आप 4 big boxes कवर कर रहे हो ऑन द एक्स एक्सिस एंड वाई एक्सिस में क्या कवर कर रहे हो भाई? 3.6 boxes. So 3.6 divided by 4 this comes out to be 0.9 का gradient. Just focus on the board. मैंने क्या किया है भाई? 4 boxes on the x axis, 3.6 boxes in the y axis. Now if you examine the blue line, बेटा अगर आप blue line को examine करो, let me make them with the red. In the blue line, you are covering 2 boxes in the x axis और y axis में कितना कवर कर रहे हो? Again 3.6. But this time your line is a downward sloping line. what will your gradient be? Negative 3.6 divided by 2. This comes out to be negative 1.8. Hmm. Can you realize one thing? First of all, तो acceleration की जगह now you will have deceleration. पहले पॉजिटिव 0.9 था, अब नेगेटिव 1.8 है, तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एक्सेलरेशन की जगह यू विल हैव डिसेलरेशन. Secondly, the magnitude of deceleration will be twice the magnitude of acceleration. Acceleration 5 आ रही थी ना, deceleration will be negative 10 ms minus 2. Does everyone get this smart approach of going about things? बेटा ब्लू वाली लाइन के लिए पूरी वर्किंग करोगे तो ज़माने निकल जाएंगे. You just have to be smart in AS Physics paper 2. समझ आई ये बात? Yes or no? Is this clear? What is gradient? Rise over run. ग्रेड 8 से हम ग्रेडियंट का फॉर्मूला क्या पढ़ते हुए आ रहे हैं? राइज ओवर रन. कैन यू रियलाइज फॉर दिस येलो लाइन आपका राइज क्या है? यस, डी वाई बाई डी एक्स कह सकते हो. मैं उससे भी सिंपल जा रहा हूँ जारियान, आई एम मेकिंग इट फर्दर सिंपल. येलो वाली लाइन में आपके कितने लार्ज बॉक्सेस का राइज आ रहा है? 1 2 3, 3.6. लार्ज बॉक्सेस में किनको कह रहा हूँ भाई? ये पूरे डब्बे को, 10 बॉक्सेस के डब्बे को मैं लार्ज बॉक्सेस कह रहा हूँ, ठीक है. इन द वाई एक्सिस हाउ मेनी लार्ज बॉक्सेस हैव यू कवर्ड? 3.6. परफेक्ट. और वाई एक्सिस पे रन कितना आया है? 4 बॉक्सेस का, 1 2 3 4. दिस ग्रेडियंट कम्स आउट टू बी 0.9 इन टर्म्स ऑफ बॉक्सेस. बेटा इन टर्म्स ऑफ बॉक्सेस ये ग्रेडियंट कितना आया है? 0.9. डू यू नाउ गेट इट जारियन? ये बात समझ आई? यस और नो? इसके बाद मैं हार्ड वाला मेथड भी करके दिखा दूंगा, जो टाइम कंज्यूमिंग है वो वाला मेथड भी करके दिखा दूंगा. डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट, ठीक है? नो प्रॉब्लम फॉर मी, वो तो और भी इजी है. ओके, नाउ फॉर द ब्लू लाइन. नाउ फॉर द ब्लू लाइन, व्हाट इज योर राइज ओवर रन भाई? फॉर द ब्लू लाइन इफ यू सी, आपका राइज नहीं हो रहा, आपका फॉल हो रहा है. तो यू विल से नेगेटिव 3.6 बॉक्सेस का वाई एक्सिस पे फॉल आ गया. और रन कितना है भाई? 2 लार्ज बॉक्सेस का. तो योर ग्रेडियंट कम्स आउट टू बी नेगेटिव 1.8. कैन यू रियलाइज बेटा, ग्रेडियंट एक तो डबल हो गया है और नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन में चले गया. कैन यू रियलाइज ग्रेडियंट एक तो डबल हो गया है और नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन में चले गया. So if your gradient doubles, acceleration 10 हो जाएगी. And since it is in the negative direction, it will become negative 10. So if I am smart enough, this question will literally take me 2 minutes ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा. But if I want to do the hard work, भाई कोई hard work करना चाहता है तो उसका भी मैं मेथड दिखा देता हूँ. This will be your graph. जिसको स्मार्ट वर्क समझ आ गया स्मार्ट वर्क समझ लो भाई, जिसको हार्ड वर्क समझना है हार्ड वर्क समझ लो. नाउ फॉर दोज हु डोंट गेट दिस मेथड, अभी भी भाई जिनको अभी भी ये मेथड नहीं समझ आता, हार्ड वर्क कर लो बेटा, कोई मसला नहीं है इसमें. व्हाट यू कैन डू इज यू कैन टेक दिस पॉइंट एंड यू कैन टेक दिस पॉइंट. परफेक्ट. व्हाट आर द 2 पॉइंट्स? फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज x में 8, y में 7.2 इंटू 10⁴. Second point is what? X 12 and Y 0. I have taken these two black points on the blue graph. Can I calculate the change in Y over change in X? Yes, change in Y over change in X is what? 0 minus 7.2 into 10 raised to the power of 4 divided by 12 minus 8. Can anyone calculate the gradient here भाई? Gradient क्या आता है? देखो अब लेंदी वाले मेथड में ना बार बार कैलकुलेटर निकालना पड़ेगा. You have to do multiple calculations. But easy वाला method तो obviously you know, it's such a beautiful method. ये negative 18,000 न्यूटन आपकी फोर्स आ गई. दिस इज योर फोर्स. एंड देन अगेन क्या करोगे? फोर्स इज इक्वल टू एम ए. फोर्स इज नेगेटिव 18,000 divided by 18,000 का mass. Your acceleration comes out to be negative 10 ms minus 2 is equals to a. So this is also correct. Rise over run वाला मेथड करना चाह रहे हो? एवरीथिंग इज करेक्ट. ठीक है, क्लियर हो गई अब बात सबको भाई? चूज योर ओन मेथड, ठीक है? चूज योर ओन मेथड. लेट्स फिर देन मूव अहेड भाई, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Anything if it is still unclear you can ask me. चलो अब ये देखते भाई, what is this about? State what is meant by work done by a force. Work done is equals to the product of force into the distance moved in the direction of the force. Work done क्या है भाई? Product of force and the distance moved in the direction of the force. सवाल छोड़ना is also an option. Very good. Zarian सुधर जाओ. A block of mass m is raised vertically at constant speed. Why has the examiner written constant speed here? To tell you that the change in kinetic energy will be zero. The vertical height gained by the block is change in h as shown in figure 3.1. Perfect, ये vertical height gained है, ठीक है. Derive an expression in terms of m and change in h for the change in gravitational potential energy of the block. State the meaning of any other symbol. बेटा इससे आसान सवाल एग्जामिनर पूछ नहीं सकता था एएस लेवल फिजिक्स की जिंदगी में. वर्क डन इज इक्वल टू व्हाट? फोर्स इनटू द डिस्टेंस मूव्ड. इस ब्लॉक की फोर्स क्या होगी? द वेट दैट इट एक्सर्ट्स, दैट इज एम जी. तो फोर्स की जगह एम जी रख दिया. बेटा डिस्टेंस मूव्ड क्या है? चेंज इन हाइट. और वर्क डन की जगह क्या रख दोगे? चेंज इन ग्रेविटेशन पोटेंशियल एनर्जी. सिंपल एज दैट. कोई मैंने कॉम्प्लेक्स बात की हो तो बताओ. लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड भाई. An electric motor has an input power of 900 volts. Okay. The motor takes 1 minute to lift a load of weight 240 Newton at constant speed through a vertical height of 115 meters. अच्छा, बहुत सारा इसने इंफॉर्मेशन हमें ओवरलोड कर दिया. ठीक है, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता इसे वापस पढ़ते हैं. You have an input power of 900 volts. Okay, you have an input power PI of 900 volts. Perfect. The motor works for this time भी आपको given है. To lift a load of weight, ये आपके पास weight आ गया. Through a vertical height of this is your height. Resistive forces are negligible. What does this statement means? Resistive forces are negligible. What does this statement means? That work done against friction is zero. Show that the work done by the motor on the load in 1 minute is 36 kilojoules. बेटा हमने शो करना है दैट द वर्क डन ऑन द मोटर इन 1 minute इज 36 जूल्स. ठीक है, किस तरह शो करोगे? यस, एनी जीनियस वुड लाइक टू टेल मी. 1 मार्क का सवाल है, लिटरली इससे आसान सवाल एएस लेवल में तो मैंने नहीं देखा. हाउ डू यू कैलकुलेट द वर्क डन ऑन द लोड बाय द मोटर? बेटा मोटर की वजह से लोड कौन सी एनर्जी गेन कर रहा है? ग्रेविटेशनल पोटेंशियल एनर्जी. सो यू कैलकुलेट दैट एम जी एच. एम जी इज इक्वल टू योर वेट. हाइट इज 150. द आंसर कम्स आउट टू बी 36 किलो जूल्स. ऑल क्लियर भाई? नहीं नहीं भाई, डिवाइडेड बाय 1000. अच्छा हाँ, उस तरह कह रहे हो. ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है. इज दिस क्लियर टू एवरीवन? यस बच्चों, 1 मार्क का सवाल था. नथिंग कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हेयर. मुझे बताओ क्लियर है या नहीं? इज इट क्लियर और नॉट? क्लियर है भाई सबको? आगे बढ़े. चलो लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड. बेटा कहीं भी कुछ भी डिफिकल्ट हो जाए साथ. डिटरमाइन द यूजफुल आउटपुट पावर ऑफ द मोटर. वाओ, व्हाट अ ब्यूटीफुल क्वेश्चन. देखो 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 अब क्या लिखा हुआ है. यू हैव टू डिटरमाइन द यूजफुल पावर आउटपुट. यू हैव टू डिटरमाइन द यूजफुल पावर आउटपुट. व्हाट इज पावर इक्वल टू? एनर्जी ओवर टाइम. बेटा डू यू नो द एनर्जी आउटपुट? यूजफुल एनर्जी आउटपुट क्या आ रही थी हमारी? 36 किलो जूल्स. व्हाट इज द टाइम? 1 minute. कैन आई कैलकुलेट द यूजफुल पावर आउटपुट? जी बिल्कुल, आई कैन डू दैट. This comes out to be 36 into 10 raised to the power of 3 divided by 1 minute, that is 60 seconds. What does your power come out to be? Your power comes out to be 600 watts. ये कौन सी पावर है बेटा? यूजफुल पावर आउटपुट. यू हैव टू नाउ डिटरमाइन द एफिशिएंसी. एफिशिएंसी इज व्हाट भाई? इससे आसान भी सवाल नहीं हो सकता. पावर आउटपुट डिवाइडेड बाय पावर इनपुट. व्हाट इज योर पावर आउटपुट? 600. बेटा पावर इनपुट गिवन थी कहीं? यस, 900. देख रहे हो इनपुट पावर. दैट्स वाई हाईलाइटिंग थिंग्स बिफोर हैंड हेल्प्स यू. what does your efficiency comes out to be by? Efficiency comes out to be 0.67. Let's further move ahead. Some of the power wasted in the motor is dissipated by the resistance of its coil. The dissipated power is 280 volts. Perfect. The coil of the motor is made. Okay. ये इतनी पावर हैज़ बीन वेस्टेड एज हीट. ठीक है, इतनी पावर हैज़ बीन वेस्टेड एट हीट. बेटा जैसे जैसे सवाल पढ़ा करो, हाईलाइट कर लिया करो, इट विल हेल्प यू अलॉट. ठीक है. The coil of the motor is made from a wire of total length 23 meters p. ठीक है, the wire has a cross sectional area of this and has a metal of resistivity this. ये length आ गई, area आ गया, resistivity आ गई. Perfect. Can you calculate the current in the coil? Can you calculate the current in the coil? Hmm. First of all, what we will do? We can calculate the resistance. Resistance is equals to resistivity into length divided by area. Resistivity क्या है भाई? 1.7 into 10 raised to the power of minus 8. Length क्या है भाई? 23 meters. Divided by area क्या है बेटा? 2.6 into 10 raised to the power of minus 8. Resistance की value क्या आती है बेटा? Can anyone tell me the value of resistance? कोई जीनियस है जो रेजिस्टेंस की वैल्यू निकाल लेगा? 1.7 इंटू 10 इज द पावर ऑफ -8 into 23. Answer divided by 2.6 into 10 is the power of -8. The value of resistance comes out to be 15.0 ohms. It comes out to be 15.0 ohms. Perfect. Beta, now you have the value of resistance. You have the power. Can you calculate current? Yes. Power is equals to I square R. Power is 280. I square divided by and multiplied by current. Ab 280 divided by 15 under root कर लो, you will get your current. 280 divided by 15 under root, what does your current की value comes out to be? 4.3 ampere is your current. Is everything clear in this question बेटा? इस सवाल में हर चीज क्लियर है, कोई मसला? Define the Young's modulus of a material. So what is the Young's modulus of the material? Stress over strain or stress per unit strain. Simple as that, nothing complicated by either. कुछ complicate नहीं करना. Let's further move ahead. A metal wire that obeys Hooke's law is stretched within its limit of proportionality. मतलब it is obeying limit of proportionality. On figure 4.1, sketch the variation of the tensile force. बेटा ये marks तो आपको पास करने के लिए दिया गया. You have to draw the force versus extension graph up till the limit of proportionality, just a straight line. State the name of the quantity represented again. यार इतना easy सवाल क्यों पूछ रहा है? Spring constant. The name of the quantity represented by the gradient of this graph is what? Spring constant. State the name of the quantity represented by the area. Very easy again यार, इससे easy सवाल नहीं हो सकता. This is your area, that is what? Strain energy. This is your area, that is your strain energy. Perfect. Now let's see this question. Another wire Q is made from a metal that has twice the Young's modulus. Perfect. That has twice the Young's modulus of the metal of wire P. Perfect. Wire Q has the same volume as wire P, but double the cross sectional area of wire P. Perfect. The two wires are extended by equal tensile forces within their limit of proportionalities. State and explain how the extension of wire Q compare with the extension of wire P. Now, first of all, let me find a blank page here. No, we don't have a blank page here. Let's do one thing. Let's do the working slightly here. So, do you remember Young's modulus is equals to what? FL over AE. Can you make extension the subject here? Here, extension is equals to FL over AE. Simple. Now let's create compartments for wire P and for wire Q. Since we have too much of information, let's list it down. Perfect. Let's make this thinner so that we can accommodate all of the information. Wire Q has twice the Young's modulus. What does that mean? This means the Young's modulus of wire Q is 2E and the Young's modulus of P is E. Now, can you see Young's modulus is what? Young's modulus is inversely proportional to extension. Young's modulus is inversely proportional to extension. So, what will be your first statement? As the Young's modulus, Young's modulus of wire Q is twice that of wire P. What will happen? Twice that of wire P. What will happen? The extension, the extension, the extension of wire Q will decrease by a factor of 2. By a factor of 2. Let's further examine things. Now you are also given one more thing. P wire Q has the same volume but has double the cross sectional area of wire P. So you will have twice the cross sectional area here. You will have an area here. Can you see area is also what? Inversely proportional to extension. So as area doubles, extension further decreases by a factor of 2. So you can further write it here. Moreover, as area increases by a factor of 2, by a factor of 2 for wire Q, the extension decreases by a factor of 2. The extension decreases by a factor of 2. Last thing. Can you examine this word? Same volume. Same volume. Wire Q has the same volume. Now, how do we calculate the volume of any object? Volume is equals to area into length. Perfect. Now, if the area of Q is getting doubled, what will happen to the length? The length will half. The length will half. If the area of Q is getting doubled, the length will half to keep the volume constant. To keep the volume constant. So this will have half L and this will have L. Now what will be your last point? You will say as length halves, the extension of Q further decreases by a factor of 2. Can you realize that the extension of Q has decreased 3 times by a factor of 2? Here as well, and here as well. Sorry, I have marked this factor incorrectly. Let's mark it here. Yeah. So the extension, basically we can't mark it here for some reason. The extension of Q has decreased 3 times by a factor of 2. What will you say in the last point? What will be your last point? You will say extension of Q is 1 over 8 times the extension of P because it has decreased 3 times by a factor of 2. It has decreased 3 times by a factor of 2. 2 into 2 into 2. This becomes 8. Simple. So your extension of Q will be 1 over 8 times the extension of P. Simple as that. Nothing complicated here. Potassium 4019K undergoes beta negative decay to form a nuclide of element X. ठीक है बेटा potassium 40K is undergoing a beta negative decay to form an element of nucleate X. Okay, okay, okay. What else do we have here? Particle Z is emitted during the decay. The equations for the decay is shown. बेटा ये कौन सा decay है? This is the beta negative decay. This is the beta negative decay. Okay. So 40, 90 potassium initially we have here. If we are having a beta negative decay, what happens? Your mass number remains unchanged. So P will have a value of what? 40. Your proton number increases by 1. So if your 19 increases by 1, 19 plus 1 is 20 is your answer. Simple as that. Nothing complicated here भाई. P आपका क्या आ गया 40. Q आपका क्या आ गया बेटा 20. Simple as that. अच्छा. Now, what is this element Z? What is this element Z? If you analyze whenever, एक second, let me admit all of them. If you analyze whenever we have a beta negative decay, बेटा whenever we have a beta negative decay, ये कौन सा particle emit होता है साथ में? Do you remember? Do you guys remember या notes दिखाऊं मैं? Yes, do you guys remember particle physics से? Yes or no? Whenever we have a beta negative decay, what do we have? Whenever we have a beta negative decay, we have a electron and what? Electron and an anti-neutrino. बेटा ये एक anti-neutrino होगा. ये एक anti-neutrino. You can write it here whenever you have a beta negative decay. Which two particles are emitted? Electron and anti-neutrino. Electron and anti-neutrino. Whenever you have a beta positive decay, whenever you have a beta positive decay, which two particles are emitted? Positron and neutrino. अगर किसी को ये याद नहीं है, please write it down in your registers. Perfect. Now let's move on to this particle. This particle beta negative. This is an electron. This is an electron. बेटा इलेक्ट्रॉन का मास नंबर या आर क्या होता है 0 एंड इलेक्ट्रॉन का प्रोटॉन नंबर क्या होता है 1 सिंपल -1 सॉरी दिस इज योर आंसर अच्छा स्टेट द नेम ऑफ द पार्टिकल Z अब थोड़ी सी अगर थ्योरी हमने पहले ही इनिशियलाइज कर ली होती तो वी माइट नो दैट Z इज व्हाट एंटी न्यूट्रिनो Z is what एंटी न्यूट्रिनो State the name of the class of fundamental particles to which both beta particle and particle Z belong. बेटा ये सारे particles कौन सी fundamental family को belong करते थे? To the lepton family. To the lepton family. Always remember electron, antineutrino, positron, neutrino, all of them belong to which family? Lepton family. Simple as that. Determine the core composition of an alpha particle. What an amazing question. Beta alpha particle consists of what? 2 protons plus 2 neutrons. What is the core composition of a proton? 2 up quarks and 1 down quarks. What is the core composition of a neutron? 1 up quark and 2 down quarks multiplied by 2 up quarks plus 2 up quarks plus 2 down quarks plus 2 up quarks plus 2 down quarks plus 2 down quarks. How many up quarks do you have in total? 2 plus 2 plus 2. That is 6 up quarks. How many down quarks do you have in total? 2 plus 2 plus 2. That is 6 down quarks. So this is the core composition of alpha particle. Let's further move ahead. Any ambiguities here? Any ambiguities here? Chalo, let's see this. Let's see this. Let's see this question. Two coherent sources X and Y of microwaves of frequency 2.5 into 10 raised to the power of 10 Hertz are at a distance of 0.18 meter apart in a vacuum as shown in figure 6.1. Perfect. So this is your A. This is your slit separation A. This is your distance capital D between the sound sources and the screen. Perfect. There is a phase difference of 90 degree between the waves emitted at the two sources. Perfect. So here at the starting, both the sources have a phase difference of what? Pi over 2 or 90 degree. That roughly equates to a path difference of what? Lambda over 4. At the starting, both the sources have a phase difference of what? At the starting, both the sources have a phase difference of pi over 2 and a path difference of what? Lambda over 4. Simple as that. Let's further move ahead. A microwave detector moves along the line PQ, which is parallel to the line joining the two sources and 2.3 meters away from the source. Perfect. Point O is on the line PQ at a position that is equidistant from the two sources. So point O is a line that is equidistant from the two sources. Perfect. Position A or point A is the position on the line PQ where the intensity of the microwaves is the greatest. So here you have the greatest intensity. Perfect. Okay. Explain why the position of greatest intensity is not at point O. Why? Why is the position of greatest intensity not at point O? Because if you see at point O, X and Y are traveling the same distance. If you see at point O, let's say this distance is A, this distance is also A. If both the sources X and Y are traveling the same distances A and A, at point O, you will have a path difference of what? Lambda over 4. Or you can say a phase difference of pi over 2. Do you remember that the greatest intensity is used to occur at what? At a path difference of 0 lambda. So at point O, you don't have that 0 lambda. So that's why greatest intensity doesn't occur at point O. Let's write it down. You can say, for greatest intensity to occur at point O, the waves must be in phase. The waves must be in phase. But at point O, there is a phase difference of 90 degree, or you can say pi over 2, or you can say a path difference of lambda over 2. On figure 6.1, draw a cross to show the position of the point on line PQ where the intensity minimum is closest to point O occurs. Label this point B. Perfect. So we have to draw an intensity minimum. Can you realize this is intensity maximum? This is the greatest intensity. After a distance of lambda over 2, you will have an intensity minimum here. But you have to mark a point that is closer to point O. Can you realize on the downside as well, you will have a same lambda over 2 pe intensity minimum. Let me erase this. Let me erase all this. See what am I telling you here. This is the greatest intensity at a distance of half lambda, either on the top side or on the bottom side, you will have minimum intensities here and here as well. Can you see the top side is far away from point O? Can you see this top side is far away from point O? Yeah, this top side is far away from point O. So we will not be considering this top side. What we can do is we can consider this downside, which is much more closer to point O. So you can say your intensity minima will be at this point. This is your point B. Simple. And one more thing that you have to take care of, you already know that from point A to O, you have a path difference of lambda over 4. So the remaining path difference from O to B will be lambda over 4. So these distances, one second, let me mark here. This will be also lambda over 4. So these distances, that is from O to A, that is from O to A, and from O to B, they should be roughly equal. Why? Because both of them represent a distance of what? Lambda over 4. This is lambda over 4, this is lambda over 4. Simple. Nothing complicated here. Apologies for this highlighter mess that this is creating. I don't know why. Let me try it. Now it's perfect. So these will be lambda over 2, lambda over 4s. So these distances should be equal to one another. Let me highlight them in different colors. I think that will make you understand better. So these yellow distances and these, you can say, blue distances should be equal to one another. Now blue is, yeah, blue is very perfect because both of them represent lambda over 4. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Hmm, let's see. Show that the wavelength of the microwave is this. You have to show that the wavelength of the microwave is this. Are you given the frequency of the microwave? Yeah. 2.5 into 10 raised to the power of 10 hertz. Perfect. So what will we apply? We will say V is equals to F lambda. Velocity is 3 into 10 raised to the power of 8. What is the frequency? 2.5 into 10 raised to the power of 10 raised to the power of 10 hertz. Simple. What will your lambda come out to be? 3 into 10 raised to the power of 8 divided by 2.5 into 10 raised to the power of 10. What does your lambda comes out to be? Let's see, 3 into 10 raised to the power of 8 divided by 2.5 into 10 raised to the power of 10. This gives you an answer of 0.012 meters. Simple. For point A on the line PQ, determine the difference in the distance delta x traveled by the microwave from point X and from point Y. Perfect. So what do you have to calculate? You have to basically calculate that at point A, that is this point, what is the difference between the distance traveled by X and the distance traveled by Y. बेटा X और Y ने जो distance travel किया है उसके बीच में difference क्या है? You have to calculate that. That will be what? Lambda over 4. So basically you have to calculate lambda over 4. How will you do that? You are already given lambda. You will divide it by 4. 0.012 divided by 4. The answer comes out to be 0.03 meters. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Use formula for Young's double slit interference of light to calculate the distance between the adjacent maximas on line PQ. What do we have to calculate? Fringe separation. X is equals to lambda d over A. Do you know lambda? Yes, 0.012. Do you know d? D was given 2.3. A is 0.18. Okay, so 2.3 and 0.18. I hope we calculated correctly. 2.3 divided by 0.18. The answer comes out to be 0.15 meters. Simple as that, nothing complicated here. Figure 7.1 shows two resistors connected in series with an electromotive force of 1.5 volts and an internal resistance of 0.28 ohms. सही है. एक आपके पास 1.5 volts का सेल है, internal resistance 0.28 ohms है. Perfect. One of the resistors has a resistance of 1 ohm. The other resistor has a resistance of R. The terminal potential difference is 1.6 volts. Okay. So, beta, what do we mean by terminal potential difference? The voltage across this external circuit. The voltage across this external circuit is 1.36 volts. Perfect. Show that the current in the circuit is this. अच्छा भाई. Current in the circuit हमने निकालना. We have to calculate the current in the circuit. Any geniuses who would like to give any ideas here? I have a very good idea here. I have a very good idea here. What can we do here, beta? अगर external circuit में we have a voltage of 1.36 volts, what will be the voltage consumed by this internal resistor? बेटा अगर आपने एक्सटर्नल सर्किट को 1.36 वोल्ट दे दिया है तो इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस में कितना वोल्टेज रहेगा? 1.5 minus 1.36, that is 0.14 volts. This internal resistor will be consuming 1.45 volts. The resistance of the internal resistor is 0.28 ohms. Can you calculate the current? Yes, V is equals to IR. Voltage is 0.14. Current, I don't know. Resistance is 0.28. Your current comes out to be 0.14 divided by 0.28, that is 0.5 amperes as your current. Perfect. Now you have to calculate the combined resistance of the two resistors. How easy this has become. Beta, external circuit में you are giving 1.36 volts as your voltage. Your current is 0.5 amperes. Can you calculate the total resistance for the external circuit? Yes. V is equals to IR. The total voltage in the external circuit is 1.36. The total current is what? 0.5. What will be your total resistance? Yes. What will be your total resistance in the external circuit? 2.7 ohms. Is this clear? Are the two parts clear here? Use your answer to part 2 to determine the value of R. Now you have to determine this value of R. Let's do that as well. The total resistance will be equal to what? 2 point, sorry. The total resistance will be equal to what? 1 ohm plus R. 1 ohm plus R. What is the total resistance? 2.7 is equals to 1 plus R. Your R is equals to 1.7 ohms. Simple as that. Are all these three parts clear, beta? Okay, let's move here. Chalo, let's see this. Easy है चलो very good. हाँ waves वाला part थोड़ा सा मुश्किल था. Everything else was very very easy in this paper. The circuit in figure 7.1 is disconnected and two resistors are reconnected to the cell. Perfect. The circuit in figure 7.1 is disconnected and two resistors are reconnected to the cell, now in parallel with each other. Perfect. On figure 7.2, complete the circuit diagram to show this arrangement. Okay. Now the two resistors are connected in parallel. How will we show this arrangement? Very, very, very easy. Let's make a parallel combination 1 ohm, and what was the second resistor beta? 1.7 ohm. A parallel combination like this will be connected here. Simple, nothing complicated. देखो 1 mark का सवाल है, you don't have to do not complicated stuff here. Explain without calculation whether the terminal potential difference across the cell is now less than, equal to, or greater than 1.36 volts. Now this you have to think a bit. बेटा थोड़ा सा आपने सोचना पड़ेगा यहाँ पे. If you connect the resistors in parallel, now just follow what I am doing. सिर्फ मेरे thought process को follow करो, everything will get clear out. If you connect the resistors in parallel, your total resistance is going to decrease. If your total resistance is going to decrease, according to this relationship, resistance is inversely proportional to current. If your total resistance decreases, your current will increase. Simple. If your total resistance decreases, your current will increase. If your current increases, what will happen? The voltage across this internal resistor will increase. You can say that the voltage across the internal resistor will increase. And the terminal potential difference, the voltage that we get in the external circuit, capital V, is equals to what? EMF minus the small v. If the small v increases, EMF remains constant, your terminal potential difference will decrease. Is the thought process clear to all of you? बेटा आंसर मैं लिखवाता हूँ. Thought process clear है, क्या हो रहा है? Are you guys understanding कि हो क्या रहा है actually circuit में? अगर वो समझ आ रही है कि हो क्या रहा है सर्किट में, then everything will be easy to write as well. बेटा समझ आ रही है सर्किट में क्या हो रहा है? Yes or no? Anyone who doesn't get it कि सर्किट में क्या हो रहा है? All clear? चलो let's write down the answer. You can say that the total resistance is increasing. You can say that the total resistance is increasing. Hence the current across, sorry, total resistance is decreasing. My bad. Total resistance is decreasing. Hence, the current across the circuit increases. As the current across the circuit increases, what will happen? What will you say, बेटा? आगे क्या लिखोगे? आगे क्या लिखोगे? Greater potential difference across the internal resistance. Greater potential difference consumed across the internal resistance. What will be your last point? Hence, the terminal potential difference decreases. This marks the end of this paper. बेटा इस पेपर का एंड हो गया है ये.